Hey guys, welcome back to the tutorial series on creating Tetris within Minecraft. And in this tutorial, we're going to review a couple of the helper functions that are going to help us with the clearing of the rows, the last part of this whole Tetris series. Okay, so the ones that I told you to code, the two functions that I told you to code is a row is air function and row is to be cleared function. Okay, and as you can see, they're very similar. The only difference is in the row is air function, we're using a scandron that we're passing in, and we're testing to see if the material at the location, at a particular location, the scandron's location is air, or rather, if it's not air. Okay, so if it's not air, then we actually need to return false. And that means that we ran into something that wasn't air, so therefore row is air. That's a false statement, right? So we return false. Otherwise, and then we also want to put that scandron back the direction that it was. So we move back left the distance of q minus 1. Okay? Because here q starts out at 1, so we don't want to actually move back distance 0 if q is 1. Or we actually want to move back a distance 0. We don't want to move it at all if q is 1. All right. Okay, so that's the row is air. Row is to be cleared. This is the exact same thing, except we're testing to see if the row is air. If the row is air, we need to return false immediately. And you might be thinking, well, why don't you just call row as air and on a row, and if you want to reuse this function instead of just using this function, you would just use it in the opposite instance or put a not block in front of it. Well, think about this. If the row is not air and we're using the row is not air to determine the row is to be cleared, that wouldn't necessarily be true in every instance, because if the row is not air, it could mean that there was one or two pieces of air, in which case we don't want the row to be cleared. So we actually do want these two separate functions to be able to ask these questions. Is the row air or is the row to be cleared? All right, and then here's a really simple one that I think you guys could do real quick. It's just a clear row function with scandron, and it just repeats 10 times, moving the scandron, or placing air and then moving the scandron right, and then moving the scandron back to the original position that it was when it was passed to the function. And that's the practice that we want to be in with all these, is we want to move our scandron back to the distance that we started out at the beginning of the function call. Okay, so the next function that I want you guys to write, and which we can cover in the next video, is I want you guys to try and write a function that actually moves blocks down. So it's going to we're going to pass in a scandron and distance, and it just actually only needs to move one row down. So you can call it move row down with scandron, and it also is going to take a distance, and that one will actually start testing it out. So we'll review the code in the next video and actually test that out. All right, thanks guys.